I've had them since they were puppies. Nothing like this has ever happened.
But it did happen.
On social media, she spread lies after lies after lies, calling my dogs murderers.
She called them a murderer, and you wound up thinking about that. Are you just telling me you would be upset?
I don't deny her feelings. I deny the way she has gone on about it. It's ridiculous.
Your dogs weren't killed, sir.
This is Judge Judy. Sarah Gordon is suing her neighbor, Michael Roston, for vet bills after his pit bulls attacked and killed her dog.
Judge, this is case number 56 on the calendar in the matter of Gordon versus Roston. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Thank you, Bird. Bird, would you do me a favor, please, and escort the defendant's girlfriend out of the courtroom for a moment?
Sure.
I'd like her in the back, out of earshot of these proceedings for now.
That way.
Great. Mr. and Mrs. Gordon, you live in the same general vicinity where Mr. Roston lives.
Yes.
I assume, since you were walking your dog, and according to you, Mr. Roston's girlfriend, the young woman who I just had escorted out of the courtroom, I assume that was the girlfriend who was walking the dog, sir. On August 7th of this year, you were walking your Chihuahua.
Yes.
And I know a little bit about dogs. A fat one weighs, I don't know, 12 pounds. How big was yours?
She weighed about 16 pounds.
So a fat Chihuahua.
Well, she's a Chihuahua Terrier, yes. She was kind of hefty.
And Mr. Roston has two adult, I assume they are adult, pit bulls.
Yes, Your Honor.
And they weigh each probably about 50 or 60 pounds?
Upwards of 60, both of them, probably.
How long have you had the two pit bulls, sir?
All of their lives. The mother is 8 years old, and the daughter is 4.
So they are 8 and 4.
Correct.
And so you had the 4-year-old as a puppy and as a newborn. And
yes.
The 8-year-old came to you when?
3 months, maybe. 2.5, 3 months old.
Do you own your own home or rent your house, sir?
I rent.
A house or an apartment?
It's an apartment. It's a granny flat above the garages in the back half of the property.
And how much do you pay in rent?
Well, I'm actually doing work to the property, and I'm supposed to be getting paid for it as part of the work, for the work that I've done.
So you're not paying rent? When
No.
did you stop paying rent?
I've never been paying rent on the property. I was hired. There was some issues between two siblings.
How long have you been living on the property?
Almost 2 years.
Okay, this is what your case is about. On the 7th of August, you were walking Roston's girlfriend, the one who just left the courtroom. I don't know whether you saw her walking the two pit bulls, but according to you, she lost control of them.
Yes.
They attacked your dog, and your dog was seriously injured.
Yes, her.
Took her to the vet that performed emergency surgery.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they could not save her.
Yes, she passed away in the hospital 2 days after I believe it was 2 surgeries.
Okay. Mr. Roston wasn't there, so he can't tell me what happened. That's why I'm going to bring his girlfriend in later after I get some information from him. He has a counterclaim, and his counterclaim is that you worked on having declared his dogs a nuisance. They were declared by whom to be a nuisance?
The San Diego County Humane Society.
Did you have an opportunity to appear at a hearing?
Yes.
And after the hearing, they declared your dogs a nuisance?
Yes.
Well, if you don't like that ruling, you can appeal it. But that has nothing to do with me. Your dogs, they were declared a nuisance after a hearing. You had the right to testify. That's not something that I'm going to overturn. And the other part is that you had to get more insurance if you wanted to keep the dogs, because now the dogs were declared a nuisance and you have to muzzle them when you walk them. And you also had to get additional keep them.
It's a renter's liability insurance?
Absolutely correct. And you do know, sir, that there are certain dogs that insurance companies will not insure if either renters or owners have those dogs, period. So you have to pay a premium. You had to pay a premium in order to keep your dogs.
I do know that. I do know that
and
now.
And show the county, well, listen, Mr. Roston, you know, it's no secret that, for me, I know that there are certain breeds of dogs, and the country knows, because it's been so well publicized, that there are certain breeds of dogs that insurance companies have declared to be inherently dangerous. I don't have to name them all, but the breed of dog that you chose to get is among that group. And if you choose to have a dog like that, and if the dog has at least one incident, then the county is going to say, we're not going to take a chance and wait until, instead of a barking Chihuahua, A crying baby is what these dogs are capable, not always do, but are capable of doing. So you choose to have those dogs. So I'm dismissing your counterclaim. The county declared your dogs a nuisance. You had a hearing, period.
The county declared my dogs a public nuisance because this woman
that's what
on
you said.
social media, yes, on social media, she spread lies after lies after. Okay,
Sir,
that's okay to do.
You had a hearing. You had a hearing.
And you know,
You had a hearing.
I had a hearing, and Your Honor, the reason that they declared my dogs a public nuisance was not because of the action or the event on August 7th, but because of all the social media that she incited, that she got pumped up and asked her friends to call the Humane Society, call them and call them and call them and call them, send emails, take pictures, follow these guys around, even though I'm not doing anything wrong. Okay, my dog's 8 years old and 4 years old. I've had them since they were puppies. And I am adamant about making sure that my dogs never get off the leash, never get off the harness. Nothing like this ever happened.
But they did.
Yes, right,
Mr.
they did.
Mr. Rustin, but look at me, sir. Look at me, sir. But they did. They did.
Indeed, and that will never, ever happen again because she'll never be walking the dog by herself. That was...
But Mr. Rustin, Mr. Rustin, it's not to argue with me. I'm telling you, you didn't intend for it to happen. Your girlfriend never intended for it to happen, but it did happen. Now, I want you to think, and as you said to me, she'll never walk the dogs again. That's what you said.
That's correct.
Right? So potential hazard because you have very strong dogs and your girlfriend wasn't able to control them for a minute. And during that minute, the dog created a situation which caused the death of her pet. Now, I want you to think about this, sir. I want you to think about you walking your dogs, and your dogs were on a leash crossing the street. A 16-year-old who wasn't supposed to be driving ran a red light, hit your dogs. You took them to the vet because you love them. They operated on them. They couldn't save them. How angry would you be?
I would be very upset.
I
would be very upset.
Before you see how you welled up a moment ago when you were talking about your dogs and what she called them a murderer. So I'm asking, and you welled up thinking about that. And so I'm asking you that question. And are you just telling me you would be upset?
I would be very upset.
With somebody who ran
I would grieve. I don't deny her feelings.
Everybody,
I deny the way she has gone on about it. It's ridiculous.
Well, you say it's ridiculous. I'm telling you that I don't know what somebody who wells up thinking about their dogs being declared a nuisance as opposed to somebody who witnessed how that person would react to somebody who negligently went through a stop sign and killed the dogs that you've had since puppies, that you clearly adore. And that you clearly said to me, my girlfriend will never walk those dogs again. And for that, I respect you more than the answer that you gave me, which is why I put the girlfriend outside.
So,
because
Your
when
Honor,
we come inside, she's going to give me a whole different story. That's why I put her. I just knew it. So
now, can I ask you?
Go ahead.
Do you think that if this 16-year-old kid ran a stop sign, that I would not be satisfied with him not having his license any further? Or do you think that I would go? I have no idea. I have no idea. Killed because he killed my dogs.
I have no idea. Your dogs weren't killed, sir. Your dogs weren't killed. Your dogs were muzzled when they were out. And in order to keep them, it's going to cost you money so that we're sure as a community that your girlfriend doesn't walk those dogs again. Now, Bird, would you bring in the girlfriend? Because we know what happened. You're walking the Chihuahua. The dogs got away from the girlfriend. That's what he said because that's what his girlfriend told him. Now we're going to hear what she has to say. And sir, down.
No problem.
I would like you to sit down. Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I do not know if her dog had their leash on. I know that his two, they absolutely had their harnesses on.
Is what you're telling me, that's what you told I want you to tell me, your boyfriend told me a different story.
And later today,
You called them and said, my floors buckled because of the leaky refrigerator, and I want you to pay $3,700 to fix them. And what did the company say to you?
They said they're not liable.
That's absolutely right.
Sarah Gordon says 2 pit bulls owned by neighbor Michael Roston attacked and killed her Chihuahua. Michael is countersuing for slander, defamation, and libel.
Now, tell me your name, please.
Whitney Falk, F-A-L-K.
Ms. Falk, I want you to tell me your version of what happened on August 7th this year when you were walking your boyfriend's 2 dogs.
Okay. I put their harnesses on. I walked them up to the top of the alley. It's very, very dark up there. There's no street lights. I was going to cross the street, changed my mind. I turned left onto the sidewalk, and at the time there was a large Econovan parked as close to the entrance of the alley as possible, and then there's a small dirt strip. So when I turned left, the girls stopped, and we were sniffing around, and I was behind the van, so I couldn't see anyone. We're all looking to the left. I heard a noise to my right, and it startled all 3 of us, the girls and I. And
The girls, you're talking about the dogs?
yes.
So you heard a noise.
I heard a noise. I didn't see anyone.
And
then
Okay.
all I know is that her dog and our dogs met in mutual combat, and that's pretty much all I could see, because after that, once I realized
so what you're telling me is that your 2 dogs, which each weigh, or your boyfriend's dogs, which each weigh 60 pounds, were engaged in mutual combat with a Chihuahua, and that all 3 dogs had their leashes on.
I do not know if her dog had their leash on. I know that my 2, or his 2, they absolutely had their harnesses on, without a doubt.
Harnesses and their leashes on.
Yes.
Yes. Is what you're telling me, that's what you told you. I want you to tell me, your boyfriend told me a different story.
Huh, really?
I want you to tell me, your boyfriend told me a different story. He said, which he must have gotten from you because he wasn't there, that the dogs got away from you, and that's why you'll never walk the dogs again.
I never said they weren't on leashes with harnesses.
They were on leash.
He said the dogs got away. Okay. We're done. We're done.
Ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff
Honor.
in the amount of $5,000. We're finished. Over.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
She's campaigning for that. That's her ultimate goal, to have my dogs put to sleep.
I don't want his dogs to be put down. I never said that. I just want them walked with muzzles.
The incident that happened, that was what's called an accident.
I don't want any other dogs to be murdered again by pit bulls in the neighborhood.
All parties in the matter of Badian versus Coleridge. Steps forward.
Sean Badian is suing appliance repairman Andrew Coveridge for damage to his floors caused by a leaky refrigerator.
Mr. Badian,
Yes, Your Honor.
in a nutshell, this is what your case is. You have a home, and you have a company that you pay an annual contract to take care of all of your electrical appliances. The fee, it's very expensive, and you can call them any day, 24/7, and tell them I have a problem with my air conditioning, with my stove, with my refrigerator, with my ice maker, and they send a technician.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were having a problem with the refrigerator. You called the company that you were dealing with, and the company sent the defendant
Yes,
to
Your Honor.
fix your leaky refrigerator. He had to come back 2 different times. He fixed one leak. It continued to leak. He came back, or he or somebody who worked for him came back again, fixed the second leak. But during that period of time, your floors were damaged underneath the refrigerator from the leaks. And you want the defendant, who was sent by the company that you employ, to pay $3,700 for new floors. That's your case, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okie dokie. So let's start dealing with reality.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You show me a paid bill that you paid to the defendant.
I don't have one.
Of course not, because your contract is with Worldwide Services. You had no contract with him.
Real cases, real people. Judge repairman Andrew Coveridge is responsible for damaging his floors.
Now, how long have you had this company that you pay for annually?
On and off around 18 years.
Okay. Are you a businessman, sir?
Yes.
What kind of business are you in?
IT, computers.
Is it your own business?
Yes, and my wife's.
Do you have business insurance?
Yes.
Because you need insurance. So I'd assume, Mr. Badian, when you, some 18 years ago, started to do business with this company that you employ, let's call them Worldwide Safety. I don't want to name them. You determined that Worldwide Safety was a reputable business and that they carry insurance.
Yes.
I did that. When I employed my company, I made sure that they had sufficient insurance in case they did any damage to any of my property, right?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to assume, for the purposes of this case, that the floors in your home were damaged because your refrigerator leaked.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you also have homeowners insurance?
Right now, no.
Did you have homeowners insurance when there was a leak in your refrigerator?
No.
Because you do know that that's what homeowners insurance is for.
Yes.
So let us assume that the leak was 10 years old.
Yes, approximately. Approximately.
The leaky refrigerator caused the floors to become buckled and have to be replaced. Let us assume for the moment that that's true. Why in the world would you think that it's the defendant's responsibility? That's number one. And number two, I assume the first people that you called were the company that you employed, right?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. You called them and said, my floor's buckled because of the leaky refrigerator, and I want you to pay $3,700 to fix them. And what did the company say to you?
They said they're not liable.
That's absolutely right. That's what they said to you. What are you suing him for? You don't have any contract with him. You have a contract with the people who you pay. He's their agent. It would be like he was an employee of theirs, although I assume you have your own little company that they just reach out to you. You don't sue him. You sue the company. You're going to lose. But if you want to sue somebody, what are you suing him for? You have no contract with him.
May I, Your Honor?
Well, you can't.
I'm suing the company because it was negligence of the technician.
No. You sue the company, not the technician. You have...
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okie dokie. You show me a paid bill that you paid to the defendant.
No, I don't have one.
Of course not, because your contract is with the owner of Worldwide Services, not him. You never paid him. You had no contract with him. He's the agent of the company. It was your negligence for not having homeowners insurance, which actually would have covered the damage to the floor. But you're suing the wrong person, Mr. Badian. Do you understand? I think you're a smart businessman. You're an IT guy. You understand exactly what I'm saying. You did your best. It was a shot in the dark. It didn't work.
I thought they were responsible because the technician came out 4 or 5 times. They couldn't stop the leak, and they didn't direct us to buy it.
Then you get hold of the company that you pay, and you say, this was not a good technician. I want you to send somebody else.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Once they come out, and then we have to sign a paperwork from this company.
Yes.
Isn't that a contract that I
Yes.
signed with this company?
No, you never hired them and you never paid them. The first time they came out, the second time they came out, if they came out 5 times, you never paid them. Because, goodbye, we're done here. Your case is dismissed.
Thank you very much. Concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy. After the reception,
A fraudulent wedding.
deception.
He refused to sign the marriage certificate.
Why didn't you sign it?
Next Judge Judy.
They fixed it, but after a few days, it started leaking again.
He did very good job.
Well, I have to pay for it myself, I guess.
I believe it's right decision.
I'm asking you questions. It's going to get uglier.
A trucker takes a spin with the company credit card,
He said you took his money.
He admitted that he had done it.
but his luck ran out at a casino.
There were 3 withdrawals that day.
I told him I bought 3 gaming tickets.
The refrigerated trailer ran out of fuel because he was in gambling.
You know that I think that you're a thief.
This is Judge Judy. Trucking company owner Michael Scharbach is suing his former employee, Mark Harrell, for making unauthorized charges on a company credit
Count in the matter of Scharbach versus Harrell.
Thank you, Bird. Mr. Scharbach, you at one point had a trucking company.
Still do.
And according to your complaint, at some point, you'll tell me when, you employed the defendant as a driver.
That's correct.
It is your claim that he misused a company credit card that you had given him to be used for business purposes in a trip that he was making. And it is your claim that he made charges on that when he was at a casino in 2 different states. The defendant said he personally only used the card for business expenses when the truck broke down during the course of the journey, and that when you questioned him subsequently about the amounts, because the amounts were large at the casino, he discovered that he no longer had the card and it must have been either lost or stolen. That's your answer. Correct, sir?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, let's have the dates, Mr. Scharbach, of the employment and the date of this trip.
His employment began on August 18th of this year.
What year?
This year.
And when did it terminate?
It terminated on September, I believe it was 22nd, when I paid him his last payment.
When you paid him his last salary check, is
Yes.
that? And what was that? What was that salary that you paid him?
It was $800 and $600, 2 different payments.
And that was for jobs that he did for you.
That was for driving and delivering the loads.
On what date or dates do you allege that he made these unauthorized charges on your credit card? Now, you gave him a credit card when he started to work in August.
Right, it's a
That was a
debit
business
card.
credit card.
It's a debit card to my account because when they're on the road, if they have a breakdown, need a tire, that kind of stuff, they got to have a card because they won't accept one over the phone.
And on what dates was he making this run when he used the card, according to you, for unauthorized charges?
Started on the 16th.
Just a second. And look at your statement and tell me where that unauthorized debit was made and at what place.
It was made at the Route 66 casino in Albuquerque, New Mexico. There were 3 withdrawals that day.
And what were the 3 withdrawals?
One was $313. The other 2 were $416.50 each.
Pretty odd numbers.
Yeah, well, there's a story behind that if you would like to hear what he said.
I'm dying to hear what he said.
Okay, he was supposed to
You
deliver...
confronted him about these charges.
I most certainly did.
And this is at the Route 66 casino.
Yes.
Just before I let you tell me his story, Mr. Harrell,
Yes, ma'am.
were you ever at Albuquerque, New Mexico?
Yes, the truck stop.
Look at me. That's a yes.
Yes.
Now, he's going to tell me what you told him when confronted about these charges at the casino. Go.
Okay, when he finally called me, because I thought he had delivered Monday night like he was supposed to, because he wasn't answering his phone, he said that he had lost the key to the truck and had locked his phone inside, and he didn't remember my number. I know I knew his wife's number, and she had my number, but he called me Tuesday night, and the story he told me was that he had found the key about 10 feet away from the truck, a day and a half later.
What were the charges for?
He told me that there was like a mechanic in a white pickup that was driving around the lot fixing different trucks, which is common. And he said he asked that mechanic if he could get him a key. And he said the mechanic said, yes, it's $400. So he says he got $400 out of the casino. Well, the whole in that statement is the first withdrawal from the casino was $313. So if he had to give the guy $400 for a key, why did he draw $313?
Just a second. So is what you're telling him, Mr. Harrell, is all of these charges were related to the truck?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okie dokie. Did you get any receipts from any of those people?
No, I did not. And first, if I may clarify, it
Well,
was
you're
a
in
Tuesday.
business.
It was Tuesday.
It was
Mr.
absolutely
Harrell,
before the delivery.
Mr. Harrell, I want you to pay careful attention to me. I read your answer, and at some point you said to your employer, oops, those aren't my charges. I don't have the card. I must have lost it, or it was stolen.
I never said it was stolen.
Or lost.
Yes.
Okay, that's what you said in your answer, because you said, I told him that those weren't my charges. I then realized I didn't have the card, and I must have left it somewhere.
In
He
Oklahoma.
told me not to worry about it. What?
In Oklahoma. I didn't leave it in Albuquerque.
It was then I realized I didn't have the card and that it must have been left somewhere. He told me not to worry because he would report the car stolen and get the funds back through his bank. That's what you wrote in your answer. That's what you swore to, sir. So there must have been some charges on the debit card that you disputed, that you said, those aren't my charges. I lost the card and somebody knew the PIN number in order to get into it, because you needed a PIN number, right?
No.
Yes,
you didn't need it. All you needed was
you
the
did not.
card.
To draw from the ATM.
It was ran credit. I didn't draw money out. I made a purchase.
Oh, you lie.
What did you purchase? What did you purchase?
So I bought. I purchased
Listen
a
to
gaming
me.
ticket.
I'm asking you questions. It's going to get uglier. You purchased a gaming ticket. Well, that had nothing to do with the truck. And how much was the gaming ticket?
$300.
You know that I think that you're a thief. You may be a thief with a jacket and a tie, but did you tell your employer that you purchased a gaming ticket for $300?
Yes.
No.
Interesting. So tell me at what point that you told him that you purchased a gaming ticket, because you needed a PIN number to take money out of an ATM. Tell me, I'm looking at your answer. When did you tell him that you had, in fact, done some spending at the casino?
Monday, or probably around noon. I told him I bought 3 gaming tickets to pay for
3 gaming tickets?
Yes, because the mobile mechanic was the one that told me I could do that because he required cash. He would not take a card. But he said, if you buy the gaming ticket, I will take it and cash it in.
Oh, run this by me again. I love it. The mechanic from whom you do not have a receipt
Or a name.
told you to buy a gaming ticket, and what did you do with the gaming ticket?
I took it to him.
Don't look over there.
I gave it to him.
You gave him the gaming ticket,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you spent $300 for it.
Nothing.
Well, then why would it be relevant, sir? Why would it be relevant that you told him that you didn't have the card if you didn't spend anything on the card? Because if it was used at ATMs, if what the unauthorized purchases, which you said you didn't make, except for this gaming ticket, everything else came out of an ATM, which required a PIN number. So how many withdrawals did you make from the ATM using a PIN number?
None.
None.
Correct.
Okay. Now, so what do we have on your ledger from your debit card that he had use of during that period of time? 15th, 16th. Read it to me, starting with the date.
September 15th at the Route 66 casino. $314.
Okay, how much?
And 95 cents, excuse me.
And was that from the ATM?
Yes. And then also Route 66 casino on the same date, $416.95 or $18.95.
Okay, very good. 9/15. Are there any other charges after the 15th? Now, he already said he purchased a gaming card for $300.
Yeah, I'm going to show you one that shows that he has the card after that point, because when he was talking to me, he says it was on Monday. Refrigerated trailer ran out of fuel. It's got $60,000 of yogurt on it, ran out of fuel because he was in gambling. That's my personal opinion, of course. But when it ran out of fuel, reefers are extremely hard to start when they ran out of fuel. He had to go up to a service station, and here's the sales receipt, which he did paid with the card, and here's that receipt.
Okay, but that's for fuel, so I'm not...
Right, but it's not, you know...
And that just shows you that he had the card then
Exactly,
on that date.
that's all I'm trying to show.
Right.
Okay.
Right, well, I got that.
Then he got the reefer started, went on the road, and he actually took a frontage road because he needed to use the restroom. I don't have a problem with that. But he hit a tire that was in the road and knocked off 2 valves off of the tanks and came to a dead stop on the frontage road because it lost all the air, which operates the brake system. I got a mechanic.
Well, listen to me. Listen to me. That's not relevant to me. If you hired...
Okay. The only reason I was telling you is because... I was just going to show you the purpose of him having the card. Because the mechanic said unless he had a card, he wouldn't take the payment over the phone.
I believe he had the card.
Judge Judy.
Maybe a person there trying to use a stolen or lost credit card to please watch for it. And then I called him back, and he says, I did it. I don't know where my head was at.
Did you report him to the police?
Trucking company owner Michael Scharbach is accusing former employee Mark Harrell of theft after Mark allegedly made unauthorized charges on a company credit card.
Now, I believe he had the card. I believe he had the card, and all of the charges that were made on the card during the time of this trip, he made. The ones that he made that because of his own negligence, well, that's your problem. You didn't hire a great driver. So you have to understand that I believe that he always had possession of the card. He may have stopped using it after this fiasco that he went on. But if he used it for anything that had to do with the truck, even his own negligence, that falls on you. So I want you to read out to me the charges that were made. So far, I have a few at the casino.
Okay, on 9/17, he was at the WinStar Casino, used the card with the PIN.
Another casino?
Yes, in Thackerville, Oklahoma, up to Thackerville to gamble.
How much was used at that casino?
The first draw was $313. The next draw was $416.50. And there was a total of 5 of those draws, so that I don't over-repeat myself, of that amount, $416.50.
And that was with the use of a PIN number, because they came out of an ATM.
That's correct.
Okay. And have you since changed your PIN number?
Well, as soon as he told me he lost the card, I called and canceled the card and reported it stolen. And then I called him back, and he admitted that he had done it.
Oh, on what date did you have this conversation with him?
On 9/17, when I noticed all this money was out of my account, and I was asking what the heck.
Would you tell me about that conversation, sir?
Sure.
Tell me about that conversation.
Well, when I first called him, I asked him, how come all this money's out of my account in Thackerville, Oklahoma? He says, I didn't do it. And I said, okay, do you have the card? He acted like he was looking in his wallet for the card. He says, nope, I don't have the card in my wallet. I must have lost it. I says, were you in Thackerville? He goes, yes, I was in Thackerville. So then I called the casino after I called Chase Bank and shut off the card, and I told them that there may be a person there trying to use a stolen or lost credit card to please watch for it. And then I called him back, and he says, I did it. I don't know where my head was at. The word. And then he asked if I could work with him and he could possibly pay it back over 3 months of driving.
And what did you tell him?
I told him I would call Chase Bank.
You told him goodbye?
Well, no, I couldn't do it right there because I would have had to chase the truck clear out into Texas.
Right, I understand that. You told him goodbye on the 22nd of September.
Right, when we went, my nephew and I went and picked up the truck.
Did you report him to the police?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So you're giving me PSA rules as opposed to being a thief?
Correct.
We both know you took his money, not for the truck, for you. And your excuse is, well, he did something wrong too. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? No, you don't.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Scharbach says former employee Mark Harrell used a company credit card to steal money from him.
Did you report him to the police?
I have not yet, because I thought I was going to get it paid back. I will be honest, Your Honor, I don't like to have somebody have to go to prison, but if I don't get justice from him, I will go to the police and they can get the videos.
It's not a question of justice from him. If he is a thief and screwed up, somebody else who's contemplating hiring him should have the information available.
Right, and they're supposed to contact me by legal, and he didn't report that he had driven for me. He's hired on to the new
Number one, sir, you 1099 me. You don't even pay taxes on your employees.
That's right. You're a contract employer.
If you want to talk about morality here.
Mr. Harrell.
I actually did report him. I actually do put him down on the application.
You're talking apples and oranges, sir. You're talking apples and oranges.
Okay.
You're talking about taking money that doesn't belong to you and gambling with it. Maybe it's a problem that you have. I don't know whether you have a problem with gambling or not. But if he didn't 1099 you when you worked for him, whether he says you're an independent contractor or not, did he pay you by check or cash?
Cash. He has no paperwork of any of his drivers.
Did you, Mr. Harrell, did you report it to the IRS?
Not really my place.
That's a question. Don't look over there. Don't look over there.
Well,
it's not his income. Listen to me. He paid you. Whether he paid you by check or cash, it's your responsibility to report your income to the IRS.
Also,
not his responsibility.
I'm not allowed
yours.
to drive a truck as an independent contractor.
So you're giving me PSA rules as opposed to being a thief.
Well, I'm just saying that he's saying that I don't use him as a reference when I actually do put him down.
He said you took his money.
Correct.
If you say to me, listen, I did take his money. It was a mistake. I'm sorry I did it. But instead of saying I took his money, which you should say, because you clearly acknowledged it to him, and I'm looking at your eyes, sir, and we both know you took his money, not for the truck, for you. Your excuse is, well, he did something wrong, too. That's your excuse. Not something wrong to you. I mean, he gave you a job, which you took. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? No, you don't. All of the unauthorized charges, sir, that had nothing to do with the truck add up to what?
On those, I've got it on the claim. But one of the things I did on that claim to the court, he drove my truck 140 miles, wasted fuel.
I
I charged $2 a mile.
Listen,
just like
about the 4 days I sat shut down because your truck wasn't roadworthy?
Judge, don't speak. I'm not speaking to you.
The DOT inspected me in your vehicle and shut me down in the lost wages I got.
Don't speak, or else I'll just cut off your mic. You understand? I could do that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Close cap, you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Now I'm going to answer you. I'm not giving you any mile. If you hired somebody, sir, who was disreputable and drove your truck so many miles in order for him to gamble, and you're charging him so much a mile, that's not part of my calculation.
Okay, that's fine.
That's your responsibility as an owner of a business. If you hire somebody that acts irresponsibly while
just took it out of
driving
his
for
pay.
you, that's on you.
Right.
But if somebody used your card for their own pleasure, either on gambling or drinking or women or motels or whatever, that's not on you. That's on him.
Okay, I think that Chase Bank...
Who should I remind you? I'm speaking now. Now it's not time for you to speak. And I will use my little calculator here and hope for the best.
Well, I think Chase Bank, I have a letter here of how much it was, ma'am. Right here from Chase Bank.
How much was it?
What they took from the...
Just say it.
Never mind. I'm going to do it myself. $3,131. Bye.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy,
Her dog got your dog in its mouth.
was the threat obvious?
The defendant's dog has attacked other dogs before.
She says was the other dog's fault.
Judge Judy.
Well, I felt like it was absolutely fair. He stole the money.
I lost about a week's worth of wages because his truck broke down and I was shut down by the DOT.
He complains about the truck not being worthy.
Faulty brakes, steering, suspension.
Well, he had driven 8,000 miles without anything being wrong with it.
Basically, it's not allowed in the state of California either.
He inspects it every day. I have the logs. He claims that he inspected it and found nothing wrong.
I did lock my keys out of the car in Albuquerque. I did lose the card in Oklahoma.
If he had repaid it, I wouldn't be here in court, but there would still be an issue and he wouldn't be driving for me.
Which I did try to explain to him, and I left it in an ATM.
I think that I pity anybody that hires him.
Case of bad luck.
If you're going to hire drivers, make sure that you don't give them a card.
You decided to put new flooring throughout the house.
To start, I gave him $500 up front.
Workers wanted her to pay in full.
The weekend was coming up.
They told me they would have it done by the weekend, so I gave them $1,300 in cash.
But she was floored when they didn't return.
Who asked the plaintiff for the balance of the money?
Who?
What are you asking me for?
This is Judge Judy. 20-year-old Logan Garinger is suing concrete laborer 20-year-old Colton Wallace for a partial refund of the money he charged her to install the floor in her new home.
This is case number 162 on the calendar in the matter of Garinger versus Wallace. Parties have been sworn in. Gentlemen, have a seat. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Garinger, is this the first house that you bought in 2020?
Yes.
How big a house is it?
I think altogether it was 1,300 square feet.
What do you mean it was? Do you still own it?
Yes, I do. I don't know it off the top of my head, Your Honor.
Who did you buy it from?
My mom was the one that had purchased it, and then I bought it from her.
When did your mother buy it?
I don't know.
When did you buy it from your mother?
I still don't know.
Well, you have to know when you bought the house.
We moved in October.
Who's we?
Me and my roommate. Also my witness. Her name's 15,000, Your Honor.
And where is it located?
It's in Garden City, Idaho.
How much is your mortgage?
$1,500 a month.
Good. So far, you're doing fine. I know you didn't expect to being asked these questions, but so far, you're doing okay.
I
Do you work?
apologize for not knowing. Yes, I do. I'm a waitress.
And what does your roommate do?
She's a waitress with me as well.
Does she pay you rent?
Yes.
How much?
$600 a month.
Great. So together you managed to support a house and a
Yes.
mortgage and pay taxes?
Yes.
Before you moved into the house, you decided to put new flooring throughout the house. And you were talking to a friend, and the friend said, I have a friend, and together we can, if you want it done cheaper, we can do it for you if you buy the materials. That's what this case is about. This is one of the men who you hired to put in the flooring in the house. The deal was that your dad was going to buy the materials and you would just pay them for labor. You would pay him $1,800 for labor to install the flooring in the house. Your dad was going to buy it. Had you already picked out the flooring?
Yes, I had. Because he was the one that had bought it at first.
Who's he?
My father.
Did you ever tell the defendant that you were buying clip-on flooring, clip-on wood flooring?
I never said that I was buying clip-on flooring, no. I didn't know what type it was, but he knew before he came to the house to do it.
Just 1 second. Just 1 second. So far, you're doing fine.
Okay.
Did the defendant go with your father to buy the flooring?
No.
Do you know what clip-on flooring is?
No.
Neither do I. What do you do for a living, Mr. Wallace?
I do self-labor. I did concrete and home remodels for the past 4 years.
You do concrete work?
Yeah.
Do you work for yourself or are you freelance?
Currently work for myself, yes.
What kind of concrete work?
Foundations and footings, and we did driveways as well.
Who's we?
The company I used to work for.
What was the last job that you had for yourself?
It was home remodels.
Month and year?
I want to say March 2020.
So that's almost a year ago?
Yeah.
So that's the last time you did concrete work was almost a year ago. How have you been supporting yourself?
I do jobs. Currently, like what I was doing for her, I make, decent money.
Just 1 second.
Yes, Your Honor.
You do odd jobs.
Yeah.
Prior to trying to put in her wood floor, I want you to give me the name of the person for whom you installed a wood floor.
Cannon.
Were they referred to you?
It's a friend of mine.
Did you do one room or more than one room for?
I did one room for him.
And how much did you charge him?
$1,100.
Was it a clip-on floor that was not a clip-on floor?
Never.
Never. So when you saw that the plaintiff's father, who has agreed between the two of you, would purchase the material, bought a wood floor that was not a clip-on floor, right?
Yeah.
Did you tell the plaintiff, I don't know how to do this, I only know how to do clip-on floors?
No, Your Honor. So when we got in contact with each other, she said she didn't know.
No. Her father bought the materials, brought it to the house. You look at it. On what day do you remember that her father brought the materials to the house?
It was already there.
What date was that?
It was already. I'm not sure. It was already there before I showed up.
Okay, just a second. On what date did your father bring the materials to the house? If you don't know, we'll ask him.
I don't know.
Could you stand up, sir?
October 14th, Your Honor.
10/14. And that's when you delivered the flooring to your daughter's new home.
Yes.
And you showed up on the 15th of October.
Correct, I think, yes.
Well, what did you do when you looked at this flooring that wasn't clip-on?
I know how to do adhesive flooring. I've never done it. But I mean, it's together. So and I didn't look at her and tell her, no, I don't know how to do this.
The plaintiff gave you how much money as a deposit for the whole job, which was $1,800? How much did the plaintiff give you and when?
She gave me $1,500 in cash, and it was...
No. I want you to be very careful with what you tell me.
100%.
Did she give you any money before you started work?
No.
Do you want to tell me in October what you gave him to start work?
Yes, Your Honor. So to start, I gave him $500 up front to go to Home Depot and get any of the supplies that he needed.
Did you give him $500 in cash?
Yes.
Does that sound...
Not really.
Does that sound familiar to you?
I had to buy tools for the adhesive. I had my witness with me, and I was also teaching him how to do flooring. So when I brought him on, I had to go buy flooring, I had to buy a skill saw, and then a tile roller.
Why don't you answer my question? I didn't ask you for a whole long story.
Okay.
All I asked you was, did she give you any money?
Yes.
You said she gave... Well, then just answer the question.
Okay, yeah.
She gave you money to... How much did she give you?
Around $500.
Before you started...
Around $500.
All right. Wanted to show your friend what to do.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you've started the job, and you're supposed to get paid the other $1,300 when you're what? Tell me the word.
When we were finished.
Right. But before you were finished, the weekend was coming up. I want to see if anything rings your bell. Before you finished and the weekend is coming up, who asked the plaintiff for the balance of the money because you needed it?
Who?
Who?
I don't know. Me?
Ask the plaintiff. What are you asking me for? I'm a television personality. Why are you asking me if I gave her money? I didn't. Who asked her for the balance before you were finished? Who asked for the balance before they were finished?
They both said they wanted it for the weekend. So since I thought they were friends, I gave it to them.
Tell me what, just a second. When you say both, who's both? Somebody had to say, or they both were talking at the same time, both he and the person who I can't see over there. Somebody put a camera on him. Okay. This genius also, were they together when they asked you for the $1,300?
So it started off with Aiden, and then Colton took over everything. So Colton was the one.
Conversation took place
in the kitchen of the house when there was already progress made. They told me they would have it done by the weekend. So I gave them $1,300 in cash.
So now you were fully paid?
They were fully paid, yes. And I have evidence if you'd like to see it.
I don't need evidence. He doesn't deny it. He started out this case by saying she gave me $1,800 for labor. That's what she gave. That's what he started with. All right. How many rooms did they complete?
No. Your Honor, they completed almost 2 rooms.
Do you have photographs of those 2 rooms?
We have video.
The work that they did?
We have video.
I'd like to see the video. I'd like to see it.
Here we are in the dining room with edging that needs done. Edging that needs done. Edging. And they left the hall. We've put a few pieces in. Nothing in here. Nothing in here. In the hall. Some in here, which will have to be ripped up. And
they did 2 rooms, and they did it with your materials. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes. Okay. Well, did they not come back? What happened? Now you can tell me what happened.
I had came back, and there was no progress made that Monday.
When?
The Monday the following week.
Okay, so they didn't work on the weekend, but they had been paid on Friday.
Yes.
Okay. Monday, nothing got done. And?
So I had texted him, and I was like, are you, what's up? I can give you more time if you need it, but I have a dateline that I do need to meet, because in the process of all of this, we were moving all of our stuff out of our old place.
Just okay. Don't go into tributaries. Just stay in the river.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You texted him and said, what's happening? And what did he say?
He didn't answer either of us. And then I had messaged him and I was like, I'm going to take you to court. And he said, okay, take me to court.
And later today,
According to you, the steering wheel was not tight. And as a result of the steering wheel jumping around, the truck was swerving like this.
Correct. Bouncing
Like you are,
line to
with
line.
bobbing and weaving right now. And would it have been tighter if you had a license?
Logan Geringer claims Colton Wallace never she is suing for a partial refund of the money she paid.
Okay, you texted him and said, what's happening? And what did he say?
And he was just like, I don't know. I don't have anyone to come help work with me right now. Just give me a second. I'll get back to you. Nothing had been done since then. My dad even offered to cut the flooring as long as he would put it down. My dad had just had major back surgery, so he was recovering from that. Otherwise, he would have done it himself. He didn't answer either of us. And then I had messaged him and I was like, hey, I'm just asking for $800 back. I really appreciate the work you did do and the time that you did take to spend, but I'm going to take you to court otherwise if you can't give it back to me. And he said, okay, take me to court. And I have evidence of all of that in a Snapchat
I'd like
text.
to see that.
Okay.
I'd like to see that. Your message to him and his to you.
Okay. So...
Just shh, don't say anything.
Okay.
And what did he say to you? What did he answer you? So you asked him for $800 back.
Yes.
He appreciates the work that you did. Keep going. What an idiot. So you asked him for $800 back, and you thought that that was fair. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
I do, too. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. We're done. Thank you very much.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
I think it was fairable.
I mean, it couldn't have went better.
I wasn't getting paid enough. I don't work for free.
Halfway through, he said, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done adhesive before.
I guess I don't know what I'm doing, right?
I was like, why did you start it in the first place?
I'll probably stick to concrete.
I will be going with a licensed contractor in the future.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bear versus Piles. Step forward.
Laura Bear is suing her former friend, Matthew Piles, for causing her truck to be impounded when he was caught driving with a suspended license.
Miss Bear, let me see if I understand this. This is your story. Your story is this young man wanted to buy your truck. He took it for, you say, a test drive. While he had it on the test drive, the truck was stopped. He had a suspended license. The truck was impounded, and the truck has been sitting in impound where it has accumulated $8,000 worth of fines or whatever from impound. And you want him to pay you $2,200 on the truck for $1,000, and he was out for a test drive. Mr. Piles, on the other hand, said that he and your brother or brother-in-law...
No, it was her fiance was with me.
They were going out someplace, and they needed to borrow your car. Who wanted to pick up a girlfriend? You?
Yeah. Well, I picked her up on the way to the
listen,
store.
look at me. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, I wanted to pick up my girlfriend. They said, sure, go and use the truck. You went, use the truck. And according to you, the steering wheel was not tight, right?
Correct.
And would it have been tighter if you had a license?
No, it wouldn't have made a difference.
No, right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your license was suspended because of DUI.
Right, but my suspension should have been up.
Well, I should have been 5'8".
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Laura Bear says former friend Matthew Piles owes for causing her truck to be impounded. Matthew says the incident is Laura's fault, and he is countersuing for emotional distress.
It wouldn't have made any difference whether had a license or not, because the steering wheel was jumping around, and as a result of the steering wheel jumping,
correct,
like you are, with bobbing and weaving right now, and you got stopped.
Right.
And then they impounded her truck because you were driving with a suspended license.
Correct.
Now, your license was suspended because of DUI.
Right. But my suspension was should have been up.
Well, I should have been 5'8", but I turned out to be 5 feet tall, and that's where I stayed. So that happened on what date, Mr. Piles?
It was back in February. I don't know the exact number.
Do you need a chair to sit down, sir? Are you sure you're able to stand up?
Yeah.
Great. Do you remember the date in February?
Yes, Your Honor, the 17th of February.
Now, your fiancé, were you with him that night?
I'd been with him earlier that day, Your Honor.
Great, but you weren't with him when he was driving?
No, ma'am, not after
Good.
he
Now
left.
you can sit.
Yes, ma'am.
So now you know that you all know each other, and you know that the truck is now in impound, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why don't you go get it?
I cannot afford it.
Well, if not now, then.
Then? I
Yeah,
absolutely couldn't afford it then.
Well, then what prompted you to wake up this morning and say, now this would be a good time for me to go and get thousands of dollars from Mr.
Vehicle. When he took it, he was going to buy it from me. And he agreed after it was impounded that he was going to pay for it to get out.
Don't believe that at all. However, let us say he borrowed the truck. That's what you say, you borrowed the truck. Because I don't believe her with regard to you were going to buy it. You borrowed it to go pick up your girlfriend. But you were not supposed to be behind the wheel of a truck or any other motor vehicle because you didn't have a license. And the reason her car was impounded was because you didn't have a license. So whose fault is that?
But they couldn't impound her vehicle because my suspension.
Oh, yes, they could. What do you mean they
she-
couldn't? I'm telling you they did.
No, she could have gone down there and gotten it straightened out because the car was in her name, and she could have gotten it back out of impound because they
Well,
can't.
she could have. You know, she could have. As again, I say to you, I could have been 5'8".
But I gave her the $100.
When did you give her $100?
I gave it to her later that day, or the next day, the following
In
day.
February.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, she sort of acknowledges that you gave her the $100 to go and get it out of impound. As a matter of fact, she says that he gave me $100, but she says that you didn't give her the $100 till May.
No, ma'am. No, I gave it to her the next day.
You gave it to her the next day.
You're right.
You sure?
Yes.
I believe you. How's that?
It works.
Get the car out of impound. That's what you should have done. Sorry, can't help you. Now, let's deal with your ridiculous counterclaim.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Why don't you, in the few brief minutes that I have remaining in my day, explain to me why you think Miss Bear owes you $2,000?
Because it's her vehicle, and she knows the condition of her vehicle. And for her to allow me to get into the defective steering, drive it with defective steering, and risk my life and everybody else's life that was in the vehicle and around me on the road, I believe that that's the reason for my countersuit, is for her knowingly allowing me to
If the car
drive.
had crashed and you were dead, I actually would have entertained that application from your estate. But since you're not and you're here, your case is dismissed.
Okay.
Great. Now, he gave you $100. You should have gotten the car out of impound. Dismissed. Goodbye. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy. Big.
You knew you were breaking the law when you were cooking and selling food out of your house. You don't have a love affair with the truth.
Judge Judy.
He hadn't given me